Coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
With the auto insurance market constantly changing, call a professional that will put your needs first. Ray Felton State Farm is a team of licensed professionals that will assess your risk, explain coverage in detail, and assure you understand what would happen if you ever found yourself in a claim situation. You can visit rayfelton.com or call their office at 234-284-2996 for a free quote on your home, auto, renters, and life insurance needs.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
Hand-and-built leather goods. Leather goods built for life. Made by hand in the USA, all goods are made with veg-tanned leather. Some of the best quality around and made by a U.S. veteran. Check out their website, www.handbuiltleather.com. GV Art and Design is a creative boutique specializing in original artwork, design, and apparel. With 4 locations in Lakewood, Avon, Willoughby, and Kent, you can visit their store and check out their collections including Cleveland sports teams, Ohio colleges, and much more. Use the code ONTAP10 for 10% off your order. GV Art and Design, original and one of a kind.
Welcome, everybody, to Sports on Tap. This is the high school football show presented by Ray Felton State Farm Insurance. You got to hear about about Ray Felton State Farm Insurance, along with our other tremendous sponsors, RRT Productions, GVR and Design, and of course, handmade hand-built leather-made goods. Just tremendous sponsors. We thank them as always for sponsoring the show, and you'll be able to hear about them more as the show goes on. My name is Ed Dick, alongside Rob Troutman, Josh Jeffy, Dr. Hoops Noah Jacobson, and of course, Professor Hype in another time zone. He is live and ready to roll. Sean Duffy, as always, ready to roll. You're watching us live on our YouTube channel, Sports on Tap. We do want to thank everybody for subscribing. We have hit a benchmark that we've been wanting to hit for quite a while. So thank you all thank you everybody for watching and subscribing. Smash those notifications and make sure you're watching us when we go live on the air. You also follow us on Facebook at Sports on Tap, on X/Twitter at SOT Podcast, on Threads at SOT_podcast. Of course, our website is sportsontappodcast.com. And of course, any other comments, questions, pronunciations, or general commentary can be sent to sportsontappodcast@gmail.com. It's hard to believe. Week 3 is in the books. The regional semifinals have come and gone, and the teams that are in our conferences are starting to dwindle. Unfortunately, we're really starting to get the cream of the crop here. That's sticking around, and we will be covering games in Division 1, Region 1, Division 2, Region 5, Division 2, Region 6, and Division 3, Region 9, and Division 3, Region 10. We have two feature games of the week, as we have in the past. Two great games, so I can't wait to hear more about those from Noah and Josh, respectively. And then, of course, we will be joined by Highland High School, the Hornets, quarterback Peyton Jaickas and safety Chase Crutchley. We had a chance to talk with Coach Gibbons before the season started, and after a couple of losses to Hudson and Aurora, they've really found their form in the playoffs, and so we'll talk to them about their season and what to look forward to next week. Spoiler alert: Highland won. But there's a lot more to talk about there. All right, Sean put together the PowerPoint. I'm going to get that up right now. We will start with Division 1, Region 1. We had two matchups. The first matchup was at Byersfield between the number 1 seed, St. Edward Eagles, the reigning, defending Division 1 state champion, and Eagles, and they took on the Canton McKinley Bulldogs. And this game was not very close. I was watching by the way, Spectrum, can you please show not a parochial school? That'd be fantastic. I would love to watch a public school contest, but I imagine that won't be happening too much more anyways. Moving on, the number 1 seed, St. Edward Eagles, they took care of business here. They were up big, and they were up early, and they run and hide from Canton McKinley by a count of 41-17. Straight beatdown. St. Ed's they're rolling. It's not going to be very easy to beat them, as they have proven time and time again, year over year. So congratulations to Coach Lombardo. The St. Edward Eagles make it to the Division 1, Region 1 regional championship round. The first of our two SOT featured games of the week saw the Greater Cleveland Conference champions, Cleveland Heights Tigers, taking on the Medina Bees, third place in the Greater Cleveland Conference. This game took place at Strongsville High School, and there was no one better to cover that game than our own Noah Jacobson. He was there live. And Noah, why don't you take this game away for us?
All right, well, thank you, and yeah, it was an awesome atmosphere coming out to Strongsville at Packatan Stadium between these two heavyweights from the Greater Cleveland Conference. This was a rematch from Week 8 in which Cleveland Heights would win 62-52. But the points, it wasn't a whole lot of points in this one, guys. As Rob mentioned earlier, I thought my thumbs would have a little bit of drama with texting to go through all those points, but it didn't matter in this one. As Medina would start off in this quarter leading 7-0, as Danny started threw a touchdown pass to Austin Knowles with 3:26 in the first quarter. But then Cleveland Heights will respond as quarterback Amara Lakes had a rushing touchdown with 2:35 left in the first quarter. That tied the game up 7-7. And then going into halftime, it would be a tie game at 7-7. What a first half between both of these teams. But then Danny Stoddard threw Austin Knowles' touchdown for the second time. This was a one-handed catch, folks. Austin Knowles has just been unbelievable this year, just putting up catch after catch, numbers after numbers, as Medina would lead 14-7 with 1:11 left to go in the third quarter. But then Marquise Do-It-All Davis, I still say his name, folks. He had a rushing touchdown in this one. That tied the score at 14 apiece with 4:38 left to go in the game. But then Medina, with 1:42 left to go, Danny Stoddard threw Jack Wojak for which would have been a game-winning touchdown pass. That made it 21-14 as Medina led with 1:42 left to go in the game. But Cleveland Heights, they responded. Quarterback Amar Lakes threw a touchdown pass to Amir Atkins with 32 seconds left in the game. And then Coach Max Stevens, we've seen it before. They wanted to go for two against Menor and they won it. But Medina made a big, huge two-point conversion stop. Tim Sokolowski, game-saving play right there with 32 seconds left to go in the game as Medina would stun the Greater Cleveland Conference champions 21-20. Congratulations to the Medina Bees as they would go on to win 21-20. Quarterback Danny Stoddard finished the game. He was 21-31 for 359 yards and 3 touchdowns. Quarterback Amar Lakes, he was 1 of 7 for 48 yards and a touchdown. That one completion pass was to Amir Atkins, who had a catch for 48 yards and that touchdown I mentioned with 32 seconds left to go in that game. He also did have 4 carries for 18 yards and a touchdown. Running back Marquise Do-It-All Davis had 27 carries for 193 yards and a touchdown. Give Medina's defense a lot of credit. They have really improved on the running game between what they did in week 8 to right now. Give them a lot of credit for having a good game plan against Marquise Davis. Running back John Gordon Jr. had 10 carries for 42 yards. Medina wide receiver Austin Knowles had 9 catches for 172 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receiver Jack Wojak had 6 catches for 97 yards and a touchdown. But Medina would go on to win 21-20 over the Cleveland Heights Tigers. This is a massive win for Medina in which they needed to get back on track in this one. For the Cleveland Heights Tigers, they're going to be back in this position, I feel like, right now. I mean, think about all the players they got coming back next year. I mean, they got Amar Lakes at quarterback coming back. They got Marquise Davis coming back. They got Henry Perriman coming back. I mean, you name it. They got all those guys coming back next year, and they're still the Greater Cleveland Conference champions. Give Coach Max Stevens credit. He's built that program to a level that they're going to be probably for who knows how many next year. But they got these guys coming back next year. But in the end, Medina will go on to win 21-20 in a game that everyone wanted to expect in this one, folks.
Yeah, and if you want to go on our YouTube page, I'm showing the highlights now. You had some great interviews. Coach Laird was there, Austin Knowles, Cam Sokolowski was there, who made the big stop. I mean, he made the tackle at the 1 or 2 yard line. I mean, what a tackle.
It was actually the 1 yard line.
Yeah, it was pretty close right there. So go in, watch the highlight video. You did a great job. Got some great clips there. You were right in the thick of it, that's for sure.
And Noah, I'm curious, as you mentioned that Medina's defense was obviously fantastic, being able to hold Cleveland Heights to 20 points. Given what happened in the first game, where they scored, where they completely blew the scoreboard out the water there. What was this just a function of of each defense stepping up and really just playing their game, or were the offense just kind of just struggling to get going? Like, what's your thought about the low scoring aspect of the game? We all know that both of these teams can really put the points up on the board.
Well, I feel like both of those defenses really improved. I mean, it wasn't really a high-scoring affair from what it was in Week 8. Give credit to both of those defenses. They really improved, but especially Medina. I mean, Marquise Davis had like 360 yards in Week 8, and he only had like 193 in this one. Give Medina's defense. They've really improved from week 8 to right now. But Cleveland Heights' defense, they've really improved from Danny Starr because he did not have like the many passing yards that he did in week 8. But give both of these defense, I feel like the offense is kind of a little bit of a slow. That's why probably there was not many points in this one, Ed.
Yeah, I mean, well, when you qualify a statement from Marquise Davis saying that he only had 190 yards,
Yeah,
I mean that's just
crazy.
It goes to show just really how good he is. And if 193 yards is being slowed down, then you give Medina all the credit in the world for being able to do that. But with that, I mean, as you mentioned, Cleveland Heights has a lot in the cupboard. They have a lot coming back, and you know their future is bright. And I agree with you. They're not going anywhere, and you know the sky's the limit. And now that they've been through the Greater Cleveland Conference for 1 year, not only that they won the Greater Cleveland Conference. I'm really looking forward to seeing what their non-conference schedule looks like next year, and then you know how are they going to do with 2 years in the conference. The teams that they may not be as familiar with are going to have you're going to have plenty of tape on them now. So I'm really interested in seeing how they're going to progress next year in their second year in the Greater Cleveland Conference, where they will be mostly on the road because most of their games are at home in the conference. They will be traveling, I think, more often than not next year. So we'll talk a little bit more about the Medina and St. Ed's game here in a little bit. But Noah, great job again, as Rob mentioned. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel. And check out the highlights, check out the interviews. You know, Noah's, we're lucky in that Noah's pretty well connected with Medina. So he's, you know, you're not going to get any other, besides maybe the Medina Gazette. I'm going to give them credit for this. You're not going to get better coverage than Noah does with Medina football.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's shift over to Division II, Region 5. The Archbishop Hoban Knights continuing doing what they're doing. It was a little bit of a tough sledding for them. A 21-0 victory is a slower game on their side, but that really goes to speak of how good Riverside is. They didn't score any points, but when you hold Hoban to 21 points, you're giving yourselves a chance to win. And you know, Riverside, the last few years with Coach Boers, Mikey Maloney at the quarterback, they've made some really, really big strides for the Beavers in Paynesville. So Hoban gets the 21-0 victory. They again reach the Division II Region 5 championship game as they have pretty much owned for the better part of almost a decade now at this point, it seems. The other game we have, this will be Suburban League Natty Conference time. The number 3 Hudson Explorers took on the number 2 seed, the Walsh Jesuit Warriors. Josh is going to take this one for us.
Yeah, thanks, Ed. Yeah, you know, Walsh continuing their dominating ways this playoff, and they just happen to run into the 3-seeded Hudson Explorers. And both teams started the scoring off with coming off interceptions. So the first score of the game came from Walsh, where Keller Motton threw a touchdown pass to Aiden Henry that put the Warriors up 7-0. Again, that came off of an interception. Hudson's first score came off an interception by Lucas Troutman. No relation to our very own Rob Troutman. There's 2 N's in that last name. But Peyton Ayer had an 18-year-old touchdown pass to Trey Sharp, and that actually tied the game at 7. From there, it was all Walsh, as they were very dominant in this game. It was up. They were up 21-7 at the half. Hudson's first drive of the second half, though, took about 7 minutes off the clock. They did go for it on 4th down when they were in the red zone. However, they could not convert. And on the very next play, Keller Motton had a run-pass option. He kept the ball, ran for 80 yards for the touchdown, and that pretty much put the game well in hand. Hudson, though, would get one final score, and that was a 39-yard touchdown pass from Peyton Ayer to Nolan Tanner. That made the final score. It would made the score what would end up being the final 35-14. A few stats from the Hudson side. Quarterback Peyton Ayer was 16 of 36 for 193 yards. He did have 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in this game. Wide receiver Cade Fontana had 8 receptions for 84 yards. And Tegan O'Quinn filling in for the injured Ian Ludwig, 13 rushing attempts for 72 yards. Hudson does finish the season 9-3. As we all remember, they did not have a Week 10 opponent, so they do finish 1 game short of everyone else. But just deal with those injuries when you have your all-world running back Ian Ludwig out for about half the year. They did as much as they could. They just did not have enough firepower in the offensive end to keep up with Walsh as their season comes to an end 35-14 and from the hands of the Warriors.
That's a great point. I mean, when you're missing someone as integral to the program as Ian Ludwig, it's tough to replace. And the fact that they got 9 victories with him out of the lineup for the most part, 2 tough playoff victories no less. It really speaks to the program that Hudson has over there, and they're again they fall into the program stage, not so much a team. They are a great program with the success that they've been able to have. Josh,
I agree, and this was actually the 3rd straight year that these 2 teams met in the playoffs. It's just this year, like I said, Hudson just didn't quite have enough. But Ed, I totally agree with you. They're a program, so they're going to be right there next year. Tops of the Suburban Natty. Looking forward to seeing what they have coming back. And as always, seeing what the coaching staff could put together. We know they're going to do a good job.
Absolutely. And that wraps it up for Division II, Region 5. We'll talk a little bit about the Hoban and Walsh Jesuit game coming up here in a little bit. All right, let's go over to Division II, Region 6. Let's start with Sean with the number 3 seed Highland Hornets taking on White House Anthony Wayne, the number 2 seed. And as we mentioned, Highland won, but how did they do it, Sean?
Well, Ed, Highland returns to the regional finals for the first time in 10 years after a 31-10 victory over Anthony Wayne. Big doings here for Highland as running back Evan Grant had 2 touchdowns in the night, along with Casey Miser adding 2 touchdowns on the night. But the big thing that I want to talk about here is the defense for Highland. Anthony Wayne dropped 59 points last week in the playoffs, coming in on a hot streak. The Highland defense kept Anthony Wayne scoreless, touchdownless, only allowed a field goal. In fact, blocked a field goal by Matt Syriac early in the game, but kept them completely out of the end zone up until with about 4.5 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter before they scored their first touchdown. By this point in time, Highland had the game well in hand. Peyton Jaickas, who will be a guest tonight, finished the game with 19 carries for 140 yards rushing. But again, Evan Grant and Casey Miser had the 2 touchdowns apiece, giving Highland a 31-10 victory, setting them up to play the winner of our spotlight game between Olmsted Falls and Avon, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, our own Joshua Kennedy Jeffy was there.
Kennedy, nice try. Close. John F. Kennedy's middle name is Francis, and that's what mine is too.
It's actually Fitzgerald, but let's move on.
Who's Francis? Robert Francis Kennedy?
Robert
There's a
Francis Kennedy.
There you go.
Robert Francis Kennedy.
Tomato.
Lighten up, Francis.
Ed, do you want me to just go into it? You're going to toss it over to me? Or I'll just go into it. Yeah, guys, this was a crazy game. And as I said on Twitter, the final score does not dictate how close this game was. You guys are smiling. I had to make sure I wasn't on mute because it happens once a show. But we'll start off this game. Olmsted Falls looking to come into this game avenging a 52-10 Week 6 loss to the Avon Eagles. And this game, give credit to Olmsted Falls. They came out with a plan, and their plan was to run the ball and use up as much time as possible, and they did that. After the first quarter, actually, there was no score in this game. Finally, to open up the second quarter, Olmsted Falls' Jimmy Russell had a 6-yard TD run to open the scoring. That made the score 7-0. And Avon would only get a field goal right before the half. Owen Warwick actually hit a 26-yard field goal. That made it 7-3 at the half. Olmsted Falls with the lead, and they were cruising. They felt really good about where they were. To open up the second half, Owen Warwick for Avon hit another field goal, 36-yarder, to make it 7-6. Now, this was about middle of the third quarter, and this is where things started to get really interesting and really crazy. Probably some of the craziest things I've ever seen in a game. And you can see a lot of these highlights on our YouTube page, so make sure you're going there to watch that. But Olmsted Falls had the ball. They went for it on 4th down. Russell handed the ball off. The running back got stuffed. He wasn't he was still moving. Russell pulled the ball away, started running towards the outside, wide open. The referees called it dead. Olmsted Falls sideline went crazy. The fans went crazy within reason. It was a very close play, I will say that. But they did call a dead play. It was a turnover on downs. Jacorian Caffey would later go on to score a touchdown with a minute to go left in the third quarter to make the score 12-7. In the fourth quarter, Olmsted Falls would drive down. Jimmy Russell, they brought out the Philly special. He scored on a touchdown pass. Derek Necker had a 2-point conversion, made the score 15-12 with 9 minutes left in the game. Now, pay attention. Nolan Good went out of this game late in the second quarter. He did not return. So in stepped Blake Elder, the sophomore quarterback. Yes, that last name sounds familiar. That is the son of head coach Mike Elder, and he would come in and he would throw 2 huge passes, the first being a 78-yard touchdown score with 7:55 left. That one actually went to, if I can look at my notes, Cole Kepner. After getting a stop on fourth down due to a fake punt, Blake Elder hit Matt Maxey for 35 yards out. That made the score 26-15, and you could tell by the Olmsted Falls fans that, you know, they were feeling a little worried that this game was going to blow up. However, this Olmsted Falls Bulldogs team had so much fight in them. 3:52 left in the game. Russell scores from 14 yards out. It was a wide open. He went back for the pass. The C's parted. You can see that that play on our YouTube video. He ran right in, scored from 14 yards out. This is where the other questionable call came in. On the kickoff, Olmsted Falls attempted an onside kick. It appeared to go past 10 yards. Olmsted Falls recovered it. However, after some discussion, the referees deemed that the ball did not go 10 yards, giving the ball to Avon. Needless to say, the sidelines, the fans were not happy. It was a close call. I did not get that one on video, which was a little interesting. But there was other videos out there on Twitter showing it was another questionable call. The final score on the game was Jacorian Caffey once again from 24 yards out with 3 minutes left in the game, made the score 33-23. And that's how the game ended. A really hard-fought game between these two teams. And after the game, Coach Elder knew he's got a bunch of respect for the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs. And he really gave nothing but props to his team, to his coaching staff, to the Olmsted Falls Bulldogs. And, you know, in a situation like that, he was asked the question, and I apologize, I forget who asked the question, but someone asked him, was it a proud coach moment or a proud dad moment? And at that point, I'll give him credit. He said it was a proud coaching moment because players came in, stepped up, played for one another, and they came away with a victory. He was worried about in the interview process if his son was going to say anything dumb, but he did not. You can see his interview. I got to talk with him briefly after the game. That's on our Twitter page. But just an overall outstanding playoff game. This is what you want in a regional semifinal game between conference rivals. A few stats from this game. As a team, Olmsted Falls rushed for 210 yards. Derek Necker had 71 yards. Owen Singleton had 78 yards. Jimmy Russell had 2 touchdown runs along with a touchdown reception. For Avon, Nolan Good, before he went out, he had 97 yards passing. Then Blake Elder came in. He was 5 of 8 for 148 yards and those 2 touchdowns. Jacorian Caffey with a modest, and I would say modest for him, 15 rushing attempts, 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. It was a very quiet 103 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Matt Maxey had 8 receptions for 120 yards and a touchdown in this game. And like I said, guys, it was just a really unique game. Not a lot going on in the offensive end in the first half. You're like, wow, okay, this is going to be good. And then all of a sudden, in the middle of the third quarter, from there on, it was things coming out of the woodwork. It was just interesting, explosive plays, questionable calls. Just it had a little bit of everything. And unfortunately, in this case, one of these teams had to lose, and it was Olmsted Falls. But you got to give them credit for coming out and fighting and really, I would say this, punching Avon right in the mouth. And they did that very well. So I hope I gave that recap some justice, guys. I mean, this was just an outstanding game.
Great job.
And if, you know, for the fans that were there, they got a really good show. North Ridgeville did a great job hosting this thing. It was just outstanding. Too bad. I say that too bad that those two questionable calls by the referees were really huge.
Yeah, you hate for that to come down to that. But, I mean, what a game, especially with the way Olmsted Falls lost in the regular season. I mean, they lost 52-10, and they were up 7-3 at half. I think they played a pretty perfect half of football, especially the way they wanted it to go, with establishing the run game, running the clock so Avon doesn't necessarily have the football a lot, because I think when Avon plays to their strengths, it's quick scores, and you saw it. I mean, Blake Elder this year, I mean, some games he only threw 2 or 3 passes, but they go deep for huge touchdowns and huge scores, and you can tell he likes Kepner and he likes Maxey. I mean, those are the 2 receivers there. But he's getting the job done, especially, you feel really bad about quarterback Nolan Good. What a great season he had, and now he's out the season as he broke his collarbone. I mean, you feel bad for the kid. He was really putting up great numbers, an outstanding leader of this team. But, what a fist fight this was. I mean, a very physical game. And, Josh, your highlights are great online. If everyone wants to go watch those back, it really, I thought, showed – what kind of game that was, because that was a physical game back and forth. And even though it was only 33-23 was the final, there's some big plays, but then some really big defensive plays there. And like you said, it's unfortunate. There were a few calls that, probably could have went one way or another there. And, the refs are doing their best job, but, it was a critical time there. And what a game, though. I mean, you guys both saw great games, and this is what playoff football is all about. We did get a comment, it looks like a Hornets fan, that they're happy that the Hornets won, but are very excited to see this Avon team up close and personal, and thinks it's going to be a really great game between the two. So I want to thank them for commenting on our YouTube page there. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens further on in the playoffs here.
And a little side note there, we'll get into it here in a little bit, but Mike Elder has a lot of respect for Highland. He mentioned it when talking to reporters after the game. He knew that Highland kept Anthony Wayne to only 10 points, and he's like, that's a very high-powered offense. So he's got nothing but respect for that Highland defense, especially. So, that's going to be a great game for that Division II Region 6 regional final.
No doubt.
Agreed. Josh, what a great job covering the game for us here, and just with Noah as well. We're lucky enough to cover 2 rematches of games. I mean, for our conferences, and we clearly saw that both games went different. I mean, Olmsted Falls gave Avon everything they could handle, and it goes back to Avon again being a great program, as Coach Elder talked about when we spoke with him before the season started. Guys go down, and it's next man up, and that next man up is generally in a good position to be able to pick up where the first stringer left off. And it's just insane how they've been able to do that year in and year out. I agree with you. It was a very good politically correct answer for Coach Elder, whether it was a proud coaching moment or a proud dad moment, because I'm sure the dad moments is probably reserved for for back home, when you probably let a little bit more emotion out there. But this game's going to be fantastic. It doesn't surprise me, because Highland is a great team. That Avon has that respect for Highland. This will be the 7th time they have met in the playoffs since 2011. And Avon holds a 5-1 edge there. But both Coach Gibbons and Coach Elder are Mount Union grads. A little bit far apart, but there's obviously a tremendous level of respect between the two of them as well.
I just want to give a quick shout, if I could, to a friend of show, actually coworker, Olmsted Falls alum, Rick Schultz, who was at the game, and he gave me the stat. Avon is 16-0 against Olmsted Falls since 2013, and the Bulldogs have lost to them 5 times in the playoffs. So, Ed, you mentioned before programs. Avon's definitely one of the top programs in our area, if not the state. Highland's another good program. Olmsted Falls is a good program. It's just when you have, the type of program that Avon has established, you're going to get that. But again, props to Olmsted Falls. They came out and established their game plan, and they ran it to perfection up until crap went crazy here there in the second half. So, but yeah, very interesting.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. Okay, let's move on to Division III, Region 9. We had the number 1 seed, the Youngstown Ursuline Fighting Irish, took on Cleveland Villa Angela St. Joe's. Very close game. Ursuline comes away with the Duke by a score of 27-20. And there's certainly a lot left in the cupboard for Villa Angela St. Joe's. I mean, I think Bo Jackson or Lamar Jackson goes by Bo. I think he's only a junior. He's a fantastic running back, do everything for them. And really any program that has Coach Rotsky at the helm, you always have a shot. He's won everywhere he's been, and it doesn't matter what division, what league, what have you. So they're in really good hands there. All right, the other game saw Aurora, the number 3 seed, taking on the number 7 seed Chardon Hilltoppers, winners of 2 of the last 3 Division III state championships. And Sean's got this one for us.
Yeah, Ed, and Aurora's quest for a state championship run ends again at the hands of Chardon, 31-7. Not much to talk about from the Aurora end, as Aurora scored their lone touchdown after Brandon Lipens rushed in from about 9 to 10 yards out. Lipens did finish 10 of 22 for 110 yards. Aurora running back Enzo Cantanilla, who has been kind of a lightning rod for them offensively all year, was held in check, carrying the ball 10 times for 32 yards, no touchdowns. And Aurora, and on the defensive side of the ball, Aurora did as much as they could. Tommy Tartabini did notch 12 tackles in the contest. Just wasn't enough, as Chardon has really been on a roll since midway through the season after a tough loss. Rolls over Aurora 31-7. Aurora finishes the year 11-2 overall, and again, their season ends at the hands of Chardon. I believe as it did last year, before Chardon went on to, I believe, win the Division III championship, if I'm not mistaken. But that's unfortunate for Aurora. I mean, look, Aurora was a team that was kind of up and down. They were, they got a big win against Highland, and really marched into these Division III playoffs. But they had some injuries late in the game, late in the season. They had to overcome. They've been kind of, teetering back and forth in these last couple weeks in the playoffs, and ran into a buzzsaw that is Chardon. The Hilltoppers just unloaded in the third quarter, specifically racking up 24 unanswered points on their way to a 31-7 victory, and they will move on to the Division III Region 9 finals.
Yeah, I think Chardon is a number 7 seed only in name. With the pedigree that they have, they took a couple of tough losses this year in their conference. Took one tough conference loss to Kenston, lost to a very good Bishop Watterson team, and then they lost to Tiffin Columbian, who I will be talking about here real shortly, in a shootout early in the year. So they are a very battle-tested team. But nothing to take away from Coach Mahalik. I mean, they earned he earns his 200th win as a head coach for Aurora. Two good wins. Gilmore is no joke either. So that was a really good win for Gilmore. And like you mentioned, it just seemed like they kind of ran out of gas at the end there, and Chardon was more than happy to take advantage of that situation. But Aurora has also proven themselves to be a program. The further you get into these playoffs, we're talking about great programs, not so much just great teams. And Aurora is certainly one of them, Sean.
Absolutely.
All right, that does it for Division III, Region 9. Our last one is going to be Division III, Region 10. Mansfield, their reward for defeating Rocky River last week was a battle against the reigning Division II state champion, the Toledo Central Catholic Fighting Irish, and it did not go so well for the Tigers. Toledo Central Catholic absolutely shellaxed Mansfield by a score of 41-10. I think we all kind of thought this is where this was going. not so much for not specifically to Mansfield, but Toledo Central Catholic. They're on a whole other level than everybody else is, and they certainly proved that out with their victory there. All right, the Great Lakes Conference East Division co-champion, the Buckeye Bucks, took on Tiffin Columbian. This game was played in Bellevue, and unfortunately for us, the game was played, and Buckeye did not come out on top on this one. Buckeye was stopped absolutely cold by the Tornadoes. Troy McCann was held to under 100 yards for just the third time this year. And then Casey Murray was really unable to find much success in the air as well. The Tornadoes they were able to do what many teams cannot do this year, and that's stop the run for Buckeye. Buckeye's bread and butter is running the ball and limiting. Shouldn't say limiting. Their best success is having a great run game and then being able to use play action to really accentuate Casey Murray there. But Columbian did not allow for that opportunity. Any positive momentum was thwarted by the Tornadoes defense. They forced a fumble off of a pass completion, and then they also got a turnover on downs. Buckeye defensively, Buckeye. What we have seen this year so far in the playoffs is that they have faced multiple elite passing teams. Gilmore in the regular season was an elite passing team. Last week against Norton, a very elite passing team. Tiffin Columbian, no difference. Columbian took a 14-0 fourth quarter lead. That ballooned by a touchdown by each quarter until the running clock happened. And Buckeye was unable to get on the scoreboard. Tiffin Columbian gets a 35-0 victory over the Buckeye Bucks. For Buckeye, Casey Murray, senior, he completed 11 of 21 passes for 114 yards. Junior running back Troy McCann rushed 11 times for 27 yards. Stat from the Medina County Gazette says that he unofficially finished with just under 1,900 yards on the ground this year. I think by far Medina County's leading rusher. Trey Weidenmeyer caught 2 passes for 33 yards for Buckeye. For Columbian, quarterback Braden, I'm going to mispronunciate this, so I apologize. Braden Rogo.
Great effort.
Completed 26 of 29 passing for 403 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he did have an interception. Running back Damian Brockington rushed 21 times for 96 yards and 2 touchdowns. And wide receiver Brady Gooding, he had 6 catches for 163 yards and a touchdown. So as we've seen with Buckeye against some of these other teams, they've been able to withstand the offensive onslaught for the other team by able to be elite on the ground. Unfortunately, in Buckeye's words, they faced an elite defense that shut down their elite running game. And unfortunately for Buckeye, they don't have the air power that some of the other teams that they play do. So if the run game shut down, it's tough sledding for them. And credit to Buckeye, they seem to know that. But a great job in the Medina County Gazette, as always, on the Buckeye recaps. And for Buckeye, they finished their most successful playoff season in school history at 10-3. This is the first time they've won 2 games in the same playoff season. Tiffin Columbian improves to 11-2. They will take on the number 1 seed and last year's Division II state champion, the undefeated Toledo Central Catholic Fighting Irish. That game will be played at Clyde High School for the regional championship. That about wraps it up for the recaps. Since we have a little bit of time, we can talk about what's going on next week before our guests come on. Again, we're going to be joined here a little bit later by Peyton Jaickas and Chase Crutchley from Highland to talk about their victory over Anthony Wayne and give us a preview of the game against Avon. And in the meantime, we do have some regional finals to talk about. Let's start with the Division I Region 1 final. 3rd place in the Greater Cleveland Conference, the Medina Bees. The number 6 seed, they're going to take on the number 1 seed, the reigning, defending Division I state champion, St. Edward Eagles. This game will be played at Byers Field in Parma, Ohio. Let's start with Noah here, being that you are intimately close to not only the program of Medina, but the Greater Cleveland Conference is your conference. What are you looking for here in this game, Noah?
Well, I'm looking forward to Medina's defense really stepping up. By far, this is their biggest game of the year, both offensively and defensively. But most importantly for the defense, I feel like they need to play their best ball if they want to have a chance to possibly win their first regional championship. And for the offense, as far as they need to attack like this St. Edward defense, they've just been dominating throughout the whole year. And Coach Lurt's been saying, like, I feel like the last 2 weeks, like after the game, he said, this is how it's going to be the rest of the year, guys. Like the one score games and like how it's going to happen, like the rest of the way, whether it's like game winning plays or whatever you want. This is going to come down to whatever it has. But this has all the makings to be possibly a great game for Medina here to possibly have a chance to beat St. Ed's, who they haven't beat since 2020 during the COVID year, where everybody got in. But this is an opportunity for Medina to go in at Byers Field and possibly beat the St. Edward Eagles and have a chance to play in their first regional title in program history.
It's gonna be tough sledding. Sorry, Sean. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Noah, that's a fantastic breakdown there. But I mean, let's just be honest. This is St. Ed's game until they lose it. St. Ed's is a wrecking ball in Division I right now. I don't think anyone in the state can compete with them. Medina has that opportunity, and they're going to have to play as near perfect football as possible. And even then, I don't know if they can beat a team like St. Edward, because St. Edward has not been matched at all this year. They have not been really pushed by anyone in the state this year. So, I mean, like, while I understand that Medina has that opportunity, they're going to have to play flawless football. And again, with St. Ed's being there, I mean, anything can happen. But if the smart money, I think, is on St. Ed's here, because I just think they are just a finely tuned machine when it comes to football. I mean, we talk about the experience that Avon has, basically a second season when it comes to playoff football. St. Ed's is right there too. This is middle of their season when it comes to how they're playing. So I look for this game to be close, but I don't know if Medina has enough for St. Ed's this year. But we'll see.
Well, just to get our facts straight, Sean, they did have one loss in the year, and it was to the Massillon. They lost 15-13 on September 15th. So there was one team in the state that really gave them a hard time with eventually being a loss.
Yeah.
Could there be two? Wait
there could
Friday.
be. You're very right.
And St. Ed's again. St. Ed's 12-1, taking on the Medina Bees 10-3. That game again will be played at Byers Field in Parma, Ohio, and I would assume that game will be broadcast live on the television. But maybe you might get some coverage somewhere else. We shall see. But that's Division I, Region 1. Shifting over to Division 2, Region 5. Unfortunately, no teams are left here. But it will be a rematch of a previously played game between these two teams, and this game was played, and it was an absolute shellacking that Archbishop Hoban laid on Walsh Jesuit back on September 29th in Week 6. 57-7 was the outcome of that game, and obviously a lot of things have changed since then. Walsh Jesuit has not lost since. They've been on quite the roll. They've scored lots of points. They've beaten Lake Catholic, Austintown, Fitch, and Hudson. Just some notable teams on the way there. And Hoban has obviously taken care of Ellett, Barberton, and Riverside. I'll defer. I'll talk. That's a brief word from both Sean and Josh here, being that your teams are mostly represented here. Given what we know about the first game that happened with them, but also that we know that Hoban is just a completely different monster than everybody else. Josh, to start with you, what does Walsh need to do here to try to beat Hoban?
Well, it's, I would have to say follow the same script as, like, say, Olmsted Falls had against Avon. Ball control and keep their offense, limit mistakes, and keep the other team's offense off the field. and you got to have some stops from your defense. I mean, when you're up against high-powered teams that perceived to have no weaknesses anywhere, you have to control the situations. And what's the best way to do that? It's running the ball, mistake-free football, and playing good defense when it's called upon. It's a tough task. It's not unobtainable. It's not unreachable, but you got to come with your A game.
Sean, quick word.
Yeah, I would echo those sentiments completely, Josh, and I would add two of them. I think, and I didn't really follow the first matchup, but I think we need to talk turnovers here. I think we need for Walsh, they need to limit any opportunity for turnovers. Can't give a team like Hoban any opportunity to get second chance opportunities or to get second chance scoring drives. Flip side, for Walsh Jesuit on the offensive side of the ball, you have to go at Hoban. You have to go at them, similar to what Olmsted Falls did. Punch them in the mouth, make them stagger early, and then take advantage. That's the only way you're going to be able to stop. Because once Hoban gets rolling, they're like a snowball. They just gather speed and momentum, and next thing you know, you're in a running clock situation, and it's the third quarter. And we've seen it time in and week out with Hoban. Walsh Jesuit is coming, and they had a very impressive win over Hudson, and they did a very good job. But I think, I don't know, like we always say, this is Hoban's region until someone beats them. And I don't know if Walsh Jesuit has the opportunity, they have the opportunity, but I don't know if they can do it, because Hoban, again, you can't let them get off to a hot start, because they'll never look back.
And the chalk reigns supreme here. The 1 seed, Hoban will take on the number 2 seed, Walsh Jesuit. That was a week 7 game. My apologies. I was missing. I was looking at Hoban's schedule, who only had 5 games up to that point. Walsh was 6-0 going into that game. So great analysis there, as we are used to seeing. All right, the big one that's left between the Suburban League American Conference and the Southwestern Conference. Highland takes on Avon in Division II Region 6 Championship again. We'll be talking live with Peyton, Jaickas, and Chase Crutchley from Highland here shortly. But I think we've talked about this game kind of already. Rob, starting with you, quick word from the Avon side. Obviously, Nolan Good is out. Blake Elder is in. He's going to get a full week of practice. He's going to get all the reps. What are you looking at from the Avon side?
Well, I think Avon has to establish the running game. I mean, take a little bit of pressure off of Blake Elder there, because he's a young quarterback. He has done really well so far this season. When he has played, he's thrown the ball down the field very accurately. And he's hit and spread the ball out with his receivers. So he's done a great job with that, but you don't want to put too much pressure on him that he has to carry this Avon team either. I mean, losing a Nolan Good, that is a huge, huge loss for them. But they still have a lot of weapons on offense. I mean, and Blake Elder stepped in and got the job done versus Olmsted Falls. Highland's a beast of a defense, though. They are always solid fundamentally. You can't turn the ball over. So I'm sure Coach Elder is going to try to find what works for Blake going into this game so he doesn't turn the ball over. And I think running the football is huge. And the defense for Avon, they're going to have to step up front, and they always are very physical. But this Highland offensive line, they love to run the football. They can run when needed, but they're going to have to really keep Highland limited and not give up the big play.
Sean?
I would say that Highland needs to do exactly what Olmsted Falls did last week. Take over time of possession, force Avon to force Avon's offense off the field and get into a long sustained drives. On the flip side, the defense needs to pressure Blake Elder. Rob, you had very nice things to say about Coach Elder and Blake Elder's performance, but there's a big difference between being the starter going into a regional final versus mop-up duty when you're up 49-0.
Last week wasn't mop-up duty, though.
Well, I get what you're saying. Up until last week, you're right, and there was a change of pace. But I'm saying Highland's defense is playing at a more intense clip a little bit. They're doing things. I mean, they held their last opponent, who scored 59 the week before, to 10 points. Now, I don't know if they have if Avon gets going on the running game, Rob, like you said, with Ja'Cory and Caffey and those running backs and that offensive line. You're right; they're in for a long night. But if they could make them one dimensional, take Blake Elder out of the equation and force it just to be a running team, I think Highland may be able to win this game by keeping them, one, off the field, and two, keeping it a low-scoring game. If they get off to a hot start, similar to Hoban, and start throwing the ball all over the yard, Avon may be able to roll in this game because Highland just they are a smash-mouth defense, and if you could get over the top on them, I think there's potential there for some big scoring plays.
And this game will be played at Packatan Stadium in Strongsville, Ohio, Strongsville High School. The number 3 seed Highland Hornets and the number 1 seed Avon Eagles. All right, let's take a quick break here as we shift over to our interviews. We will be joined by Peyton Jaickas, Chase Crutchley, and it appears a surprise guest.
Possibly. We'll have to wait and see here.
It could be Coach. We'll find out. But let's take a break from hear from our tremendous sponsors. And this is the Sports on Tap High School Football Show presented.
Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
For handmade quality leather products, check out Hand and Built Leather Goods. Check out their website, www.handbuiltleather.com. GV Art and Design, original and one of a kind. Check them out on their website at www.gvartwork.com and use the code ONTAP10 to get 10% off your full order. GV Art and Design.
Welcome back to Sports on Tap. This is Ed Dick, alongside Sean Duffy, Rob Troutman, Noah Jacobson, and Josh Jeppy. You're watching the high school football Sports on Tap high school football show, brought to you by Ray Felton State Farm Insurance. You got to hear about Ray and all of our sponsors as well: leather built handmade goods, GVR and Design, and of course RRT Productions. Make sure you check them out, get information, and take advantage of their tremendous goods and services that they provide. All right, we're lucky and happy to be joined by a couple of players, student athletes from the Highland Hornets. We are joined by quarterback Peyton Jaickas and safety Chase Crutchley. I think we have Coach Gibbons potentially popping on. Or he's just kind of listening and make sure nothing's getting said here. But
make sure it doesn't get out of control on here.
That's right. Both of you, Peyton and Chase, thanks so much for taking the time to join us, especially as you guys are preparing for a regional championship game.
Yeah, of course, it's a pleasure.
Hey, Peyton, let's start with you here. What a great game against Anthony Wayne. You guys really took it to him. Defensively, obviously fantastic, but scoring 31 points on a team that really hadn't given up too much coming into the rounds. There's Coach. There we go. Peyton. So talk about what you guys were able to do on the offensive end against Anthony Wayne that maybe some teams weren't able to do.
Honestly, I just think it was all about effort with us. Brody, our center, went down, and Ryan Zawick had to step up, and Ben Fern had to step up, play some key roles in that game. I think Ryan blocked it really well, being in the position he was put in. I just honestly think that we ran the ball all over him, which was our game plan every week. We work on it a ton in practice, especially with our read option offensive style.
Chase, from the defensive end, being able to shut down Anthony Wayne to 10 points, just a tremendous defensive effort on your guys' part. Where were you able to find success on the defensive end?
Yeah, I'd say kind of same thing as offense, just effort. I mean, every play, we constantly had 4 or 5 guys, pretty much whole team just running the ball carrier, just physical up front. It always starts up front for us. Each week. Just kids are always up there making plays, and it's really easy. In the secondary when you have great offensive or defensive line, backers making plays all the time. And we constantly we didn't give up big plays, and if they did get down towards our end, we honed in and didn't let them obviously in the end zone. I think that kind of just broke them over time.
I was curious. You guys have notoriously had over the last couple of years just a top-notch defense, and your offense is right behind. Just talk about, if you can, your guys' practice. Is it the old adage, iron sharpens iron type thing when you guys are going up against each other in practice?
Yeah, each week we have best kids on defense going up against best kids on offense. If it's an offensive day, we got best players available on the defensive side, giving good looks every day, never letting kids get off easy, making them work. And I think that's, what kind of sharpens us each week and out to just get better over time, is just constantly going up against, good competition in practice.
I'm the guy that follows you guys in the Suburban League Athletic Conference. I was there for the final game in the Suburban League against Aurora. It was a tough loss for you guys. I wanted to ask, did that circumstance or that kind of galvanize your guys' team? And this is for coach or whoever, kind of refocusing you for this playoff here. You guys, obviously had a tough loss to Aurora and then had to turn right around, and it's week 1 of the playoffs. So there wasn't a lot of, get right games or anything available to you. Did you guys have to really use that as motivation or fuel going into week 1 and actually progressing you through this playoff run?
Yeah, I think, you never want to lose a game, right? And you want to win them all, but that's just not realistic. Sometimes you're going to lose games. And what we try to do is make sure that, hey, if we're going to lose a game, let's learn from this. Why did we lose? How can we get better? And I think when you look at the big picture and break it down and show the guys like, hey, if we do this right and we tweak this or tweak that, and we all own the loss, right? I certainly didn't call the perfect game, and we made some mistakes here and there, and we're all in it together. So we lost as a team, unfortunately. But when you look back at it and you find out, okay, this is what we need to do to improve, and we all own it and we all get better from it, you can actually learn a lot from a loss. And I think that's shown in the last few weeks with our playoff games is, again, no one likes to lose, but if you are going to lose, let's learn from it. Let's find a way to get better And I'm proud of our kids for kind of owning that, and they really have improved throughout the this playoff run here.
Peyton, thank you for taking the time and joining us tonight. If your guys' offense had 375 total yards in this game against Anthony Wayne, just kind of talk about how the offense performed basically in this game and throughout the whole season.
Yeah, is this for me or is that for?
You can go ahead, Coach, if you want.
Okay, yeah, I think our offense did a great job this past Friday against Anthony Wayne. I think we definitely controlled the line of scrimmage, and I think that's really big. And they had an explosive offense. Their quarterback was a really good player, so we wanted to try to limit their possessions. And I think they only had 2 possessions in the first half, which I think was key. And then looking at our offense, we had the ball, I believe, 3 times. We scored on 2 of them, and the last one was kind of with a minute or so left in the half. We kind of ran the clock out there. So, game plan wise, that worked out really well for us, and it's a credit to the entire team. Everyone buys into how we want to play on that side of the ball, and we went out there and executed really well.
Yeah, absolutely dominating fashion, especially Anthony Wayne, who's always there and a very tough team. Peyton, this question's for you. Running the football, you guys are always consistently and fundamentally running the football very strong. Does that help take a little bit of the pressure off of you so you don't have to put that pressure on to throw a lot? You can kind of run when needed, but then also pass?
Yeah, I could definitely say most definitely that. It definitely does take a little bit of stress off, but I would definitely say it does make our offense a lot better and harder to read because you never know whether or not we're going to hit you with a big shot or just in the middle to get a first down, some sprint outs, or if I'm going to run it or we're going to just hand the ball off to our running backs.
Yeah, it's definitely tough to cover. I mean, that's for sure if you're trying to stop the run and then you're going to they can stop you, but then there's going to be running backs, and your passing game has been really solid this season. So, but also defensively, Chase, you guys are fundamentally sound. You know how to get the turnovers and then give your offense a chance to create those into points. Is that something that even in practice, you guys are playing hard and during games trying to get that turnover, but also not give up the big play?
Yeah, I think definitely a main focus this season has been turnovers. Just obviously, in the games we've won and the games we've lost. The games we've lost, we lost the turnover battle. The games we've won and exceeded and played really well, we've won the turnover battle. So I think it's just mainly constantly putting pressure. It's a way to just offense is going down the field. They turn the ball over. It's just complete momentum change. It's it's a big factor in the game. So I think we definitely focus on that in practice, and then it leads towards games as well.
Chase, I wanted to follow up on something that you said earlier. You mentioned how your defensive line and your linebackers really free you guys up in the secondary to kind of play a little bit looser and freewheeling. Now, one thing I will say is out of the Highland games that I've seen, you guys got some thumpers, man. I mean, anybody who plays you guys knows they played Highland the next day because I've never heard pads pop the way they pop in a Highland game. I'm telling you, that Aurora game, I thought somebody was going to get hurt by the end of the game. But who are some of those guys that you were talking about on the defensive line and the linebackers that have really stepped up for you guys, not just this past game, but maybe like throughout this season into the playoffs?
Yeah, I honestly, our whole front seven's been fantastic. You got some key players on there. Our DNs, Carson Noonan, Jack Capitoso, constantly coming up with sacks. Our 2D tackles, Ryan Zywick, Logan Waddell. Just absolutely plugged the run game in the middle. Teams have barely been able to run on us all year. It's good. A lot of teams come out here and they have a run-heavy offense, and then they get completely shut down, and now they're out of their comfort zone. And our backers, all of them have really been making plays. Jason Sambor, our outside backer, he helps me all the time. The run game, pass game, the 3 routes, stuff like that. Middle linebacker plays all over the field, playing downhill. And then obviously Tommy Shondel's he's got a ton of tackles for loss in the season. So I just think it's kind of a combined effort. Everyone does their job. It's a lot easier to make plays.
I can attest to that. First and foremost, I was moderately decent at safety my senior year, but my front seven was phenomenal, and they made things really easy on the defensive backs that year. So I can certainly understand that. We're talking with Peyton Jaickas, Chase Crutchley, and Coach Gibbons from the Highland Hornets. This question's for all three of you. I'm gonna start with the players first. Mostly because this is your kind of first time. Well, I think this is more applicable to you guys than Coach here. This is you guys are both seniors. This is your 10th playoff game that you guys have been somewhat involved in on the varsity level, either through practice or through games. How important and how helpful has it been for you guys to get those additional games and practices in the postseason? I mean, you guys have essentially now played four regular seasons, and hopefully, depending on how the game goes, potentially more. Chase, to start with you, how do you feel it's benefited you? And then obviously Peyton, same question when Chase is done, and then Coach from the coaching side.
Yeah, I obviously the extra games, it's just extra practice. Each year, we're getting a couple games, in the postseason, and obviously when I was younger, playing behind some players, watching them play, it's just more weeks, to watch them and just get better. And now, as the season goes on, where I've been, starting playing, it's just more weeks, practices get more intense, it's more just like getting polished on certain things. And overall, it definitely helps a lot. We've been here in the playoffs. We know how to play playoff games, play in playoff weather. And it's really good for experience.
Peyton?
Yeah, sitting behind Aaron and Lurtz to go on that. Aaron was a phenomenal quarterback as well as Lurtz, and sitting behind them really taught me a lot about the game, and watching Aaron play, especially freshman year when I dressed against the Avon game, definitely is going to help me prepare for this upcoming game against Avon. And just sitting behind Lurtz, last year I lost that competition against two Lurtz, and he taught me a ton of stuff that I would never have known until this, which has helped me into this year. And just, we know how to play our game and practice how we practice because we've been doing it for so long.
Yeah, I think you look at the playoff weeks, and I think it's so important that, like these guys mentioned, it helps in so many facets, right? Like even our young kids going in there and watching film with the varsity kids and seeing how hard, Chase and Peyton and how they break down these games and how they work in practice. You can learn a lot just by watching kids. And I think that's kind of their point too, is, hey, they learn from the guys before them. And I think when you reach that, this is the standard that we're going to keep playing. Our season's not going to end after week 10. The expectation is that we have a lot more weeks left. I think that definitely helps your program. And these kids all expect to, not end their season after week 10. They want to keep it going. And we've been fortunate enough to do that the last few years here. So we want to keep that rolling. And anytime you can add more practices and add more reps, it's going to help your program out.
Peyton, I do have a question for you. Hearing what you're saying about, learning and learning behind some of the players that you have in the past. I gotta ask, what's with the Saints flag in the background?
I figured you were gonna ask that.
I knew that was gonna come up, by the way.
I see the Browns flag. It's behind him. It's like kind of hiding, but then I see the Saints flag. What's going on?
Let's see. Who's he going for?
Drew Brees. Just a big fan of Drew Brees.
There you go.
Okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
I can respect it. With that being said, I mean, you kind of model yourself with some of the things that he does. I mean, he's one of the most prolific passers in football history. Do you kind of model what, some of the things that he does after Drew Brees?
Yeah, I definitely do watch a little bit of film on him and like his character. I definitely try to build off of his character because he's such a good guy. But even though I'm a different type of quarterback, I'm more of a running quarterback. He wasn't as agile as me. But no, he's just a great guy. He won all these awards, all these accolades he's had. Just a great guy.
Absolutely. That was one of my questions: was who you rooting for? The Browns, the Saints? How do you rate those teams there?
Well, I'm definitely would root for the Browns.
There you go. I like it. All right.
Good. We could keep going with this interview then.
Yeah, we continue now. Let's talk about it. You guys mentioned it. You guys got a big matchup here, regional final against a team like Avon. Two very experienced programs, and we made that delineation between programs and teams. You guys both have great programs in the area. Without giving away the store, without giving away the game plan, what have you guys seen on the tape that you've watched so far, and and what are you guys looking forward in your own performance coming into this game this week? Anybody can answer.
I'd say they're pretty similar to us. Just a physical, tough-nosed football team. I'd just go out there, play football just like every other week. Don't treat it any differently. Go out there, play our game. Play physical, and I say like confidence. Comes from preparation. So the more preparation you spend, watching film, learning tendencies, stuff like that, it'll show on Friday.
Yeah, you go off of what Chase is saying. Just they run a very similar defense to us. So like the best chance we're gonna get is just in practice facing our own defense and preparing for them. I mean, Avon's a very well coached team, probably the best coached team we'll play this year, and a lot of respect to their program.
Yeah, I think, you look at an Avon program, and we obviously have a lot of respect for them and what they've been able to accomplish. And we're excited for the challenge to get to go out there and play these guys. And we played them a few times in the playoffs, and we played them at the lower levels, freshman and JV, on a consistent basis. So we're familiar with them, and we're excited for the opportunity to go out there and compete against them.
Hey, Coach, on that note, I just was curious, is there a difference now, obviously knowing that you're not going to have to prepare for Nolan Good, but you have to prepare for Blake Elder, sophomore, not a lot of film on him. He's got some stuff out there, especially last week coming in and having those two big throws. Does that change your preparation any going into this game?
No. They're such a well-coached team and such a good team that, we have to do everything right to put ourselves in position to win the game. And they have weapons all over the field. We understand that. Our kids understand that. So our focus is just on making sure that we're doing everything that we can to prepare to go out there and play a great program and a great team. So unfortunately he got injured, but we know that, they have people that are ready to step up and fill their quarterback's shoes, and looking forward to a great game against a great program.
And on that note, that it will be the number 3 seed Highland Hornets taking on the number 1 seed Avon Eagles. That game will be Friday night at Packatan Stadium in Strongsville, Ohio, for the Division II Region 6 championship. Peyton, Chase, and Coach, or Gibby, as I like to, as we've known for quite a while. Thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. Best of luck to you guys. It's going to be looking forward to just seeing a great game between Avon and Highland. Good luck to you guys.
Thank you very much. Thank you for all you guys do for high school football. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for taking time to come on. It was great talking to you guys.
Yep.
That is Peyton, quarterback Peyton Jaickas, safety Chase Crutchley, and head coach Mike Gibbons from the Highland Hornets, talking about their season and talking about what they how they're able to succeed offensively, defensively, and a little glimmer into what to expect here for their Division II Region 6 championship against Avon. And I know we broke it down pretty well even in advance of this interview, but it's Coach Gibbons has it right. I mean, it's Avon is a program, and it really doesn't matter who goes down there. I say that with respect to the starters, obviously. They're starters for a reason, but it just seems that when Avon needs someone to fill in, they're able to do that, and there isn't a whole lot of drop off, if any, going forward. So Coach Elder and Blake are in. His son Blake is going to be in a spot I don't think he anticipated being in, but he is the coach's son. He's been watching this for quite a while. If there's anybody who's going to be prepared for this moment, it's probably him. And he's got a literal swarm of a defense coming after him with Highland there.
Nice pun. Good job there, Ed.
Oh,
Great
yeah.
effort.
Yeah.
Hornets,
but on the flip side of that,
good job.
Let's be honest here. We talk about Avon, and their offensive line is, from tackle to tackle, is very good. It's a very good offensive line. So I don't think it's a protection thing that Blake Elder has to worry about. Something tells me that you want to make sure that if you're Avon, not, like Rob said, not putting too much pressure on that quarterback. Make him manage the game. Allow your guys like Ja'Cory and Caffey to take over that game, which is what he talked about last week on our show, is he steps in when he's needed. Okay, he was probably needed more so last week and will probably be leaned on heavily this week. And I think Highland is preparing for that fact, but also not allowing not going in with the mentality, let's make the backup quarterback beat us. They are very aware, and as you mentioned, that they are keenly aware that this is Mike Elder's son, and he could probably recite the playbook because he's played in it for his entire life since he started playing football. So, I mean, again, it's not as if he's not familiar with the plays. I just wonder, is that Highland defense going to kick into gear? Because I think this is like the first time we've actually had two of our teams that we cover going for a regional championship. I believe so, right? I mean, normally in Division I, it's always been a parochial versus like a Menor or something like that. And then like in Division II, it's sometimes Hudson, but against maybe like a Hoban or something along those lines. Same thing here. It's always like a Toledo team. Very rarely do we get the two teams from the area fighting for an opportunity to go play in the state Final Four. I mean, that's what's on the line here. It's state semifinal berth. And once you're in that, anything can happen because doesn't it reseed at that point? It's based upon record at that point, or is it always going to, like, I don't know how they rank
I think it's more geographical.
Right, so they would probably play a Columbus team or a Toledo team. They wouldn't play like a Cincinnati area team.
Correct. Yeah, okay. I think they try to keep, because those are just as they're neutral sites too. So I think they try to keep it equidistant for everybody involved if they can. They didn't do that, but they certainly didn't do that in the 90s when they made Brunswick go to Gahanna to get killed by Coleraine before they got pushed into the finals.
You're talking to a guy that had to go play out in Dublin, Kaufman, and then had to turn around the next week and go play in Toledo.
The home of Brady Quinn.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. That's my point. I think since then they've done the state has tried to keep closer teams together, if they can. One last note, Highland, I think Peyton made a good point, and exactly some of the points that you guys made, and maybe even Coach for that matter. Anthony Wayne only had the ball twice in the first half, and that is exactly how you want to play a high-powered team like Avon. So, Jaickas threw two passes the entire game. One a 60-yarder, and one was intercepted, but it was more of a deep pass that probably acted as a punt anyways. So they were able to have that much success on the ground. But I think Sean can attest to if Payne needs to spin the ball, he can spin the ball. He just didn't need to do it.
He can throw it. Yeah, he can throw the ball, and they have receivers. It's just, again, if you can run the ball, run the ball. You
well, that's what Olmsted Falls did. Olmsted Falls kind of controlled the clock and ran the ball and got first downs, and that took, that's why they were up 7-3. They kept the ball out of the hands of the Avon offense, which I think is a really good game plan. Coach DeLuca and Olmsted Falls, I mean, that defense, Coach Pace, they were ready. They had a great game plan, and we'll see if Highland's going to follow suit and try to do the same thing here.
And let's shift back over quickly to the last two games, last two regions. Now, we do not have, same with Division II, Region 5, we no longer have teams in our coverage area in these, but we'd be remiss if we didn't at least talk about them. Division 3, Region 9, the two-time recent state champion Chardon Hilltoppers, the number 7 seed, will take on Youngstown Ursuline. That game will be played at Ravenna Portage Community Bank Stadium. As we've kind of come to know, I mean, Chardon, it's been really Chardon's show until Canfield got them last year. Ursuline kind of bouncing up and down between divisions, kind of coming up with a renaissance here. I mean, Sean, you saw the game. You covered, you recapped Aurora and Chardon. Mm-hmm. Chardon seems to be rounding back into form pretty efficiently here.
They are, and again, when you look at these two teams, they're very similar. They score points in bunches and they play good defense. So this lends me to think maybe this is more of a rock fight than maybe more of a shootout. I think it has the potential to be a shootout, but I just don't see that with these two defenses. These two defenses have been very, very good over the last couple of weeks, not allowing opponents to really. I mean, Youngstown Ursuline had to outlast Villa Angela St. Joe's, but it wasn't a high-scoring game by any means. So I give the edge to Chardon here a little bit. I just think Chardon, battle-tested team, this is not unfamiliar territory with them. They've been in this division. They've been in this region for so long. You know, they had to play similar teams going through. And I would give the edge here to Chardon. I like the underdog here. Again, we talked about it, Ed. The number 7, I mean, you could throw that right out the window. This is Chardon football. They've been doing it, you know, since eons. You know, Youngstown Ursuline's a good team right now. I just, like I said, I lean a little bit more towards Chardon in this game, given what they did to Aurora. And Aurora had a really good defense coming into that game, and they allowed 31, and they put up 31 points on that defense. So I think Chardon has the edge here, but I think this has the potential to be a very, very low scoring affair. Wouldn't be shocked at if it came down to a field goal, to be honest with you.
And to your point, Sean, Ursuline has they did defeat the reigning defending Division III state champions and the Canfield Cardinals in week 2 playoffs by a very tight score, 16-13. So it wasn't like Canfield gave that title up. I mean, they fought the nail for it, and so Ursuline they've gone through some battles these last 2 weeks against 2 very good teams, and obviously Chardon has kind of run roughshod. They've defeated teams that are a combined math is 29-7. So Chardon has certainly seen their fair share of really tough competition here as well. So this is going to be a great game that's going to be played in Ravenna for the Division III Region 9 championship. Then last and certainly not least, it will be for Division III Region 10. Tiffin Columbian, the number 4 seed, will take on the number 1 seed Toledo Central Catholic Fighting Irish. Again, they are the reigning Division II state champions who had they dropped down to Division III due to enrollment and competitive balance. Central Catholic is again, they're on another level. They're 13-0. They score points in bunches. They don't give up a lot of points, and I would say that this is theirs until someone takes it from them. Now, Tiffin Columbian, as we saw against Buckeye, they have a very, very good front 7. And if they have any hope of winning this game, they're going to need that front 7 to be very efficient and shut down that Toledo Central Catholic offense. On the flip side, offensively, Columbian, they have a stud quarterback and they have really good receivers. And if they need to run the ball, they can run the ball. Buckeye has some trouble stopping the run, even after they thought they had the pass game. Let's be honest, they didn't have the pass game under control at all. The guy completed 26-29. He was phenomenal. And then if they needed to change it up a little bit, they were able to run for almost 100 yards. They probably ran for over 100 yards as a team. They put up a lot of numbers against a very good Buckeye team. So I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility that Columbian can win. I think they're very much capable of it. Their only losses are to a 12-1 Bishop Watterson team, and then the aforementioned Sandusky Perkins Panthers, who are going to be competing for Division 4 Region 13 state championship or region championship against Glenville next week. That game is going to be phenomenal. But this game will be played, I believe, at Clyde. Again, the 1 and the Tiffin versus Toledo Central Catholic at Clyde Stadium. And that about wraps it up. That does wrap it up for our recaps, our interviews, and in the previews for next week. I don't know if we talked about where we would potentially be going next week. We were kind of talking about it offline, but I'll ask you guys now. There's 2 local games that involve our teams. Again, it'll be Medina going to visiting Parma to take on St. Ed's, and then the game in Strongsville between Avon and Highland.
Well, I think only one of us is able to make it out. All the other have other assignments that they need to take care of. So I will be heading actually just down Route 42 going north. I'll be heading into Strongsville. I'll be watching the Highland Hornets, some of the guys that we had on tonight, along with Coach Gibbons, taking on the Avon Eagles. So that'll be a really good matchup. And I'd like to give a quick shout out to Mr. Ziegler, the athletic director for the Strongsville Mustangs. Already got my media pass, sideline credentials. So
nice.
Shout out to him for getting them early.
That's quick.
Nice.
Got it quick.
He's not messing around.
Ready to roll. Yeah, that's there we go. So Sports on Tap again. Make sure you follow us on Twitter/X at SOT Podcast to get the live updates from Strongsville of Avon taking on Highland, and of course we'll be following the other games and providing updates on our respective regions as well. And then we'll be back next week, same time, for the recaps of the Division One and of all of the games that we're covering. And we'll delve a little bit more into what the playoffs look like for the state semifinals. All right, that wraps it up for us. Again, you've been watching us on our YouTube channel, Sports on Tap. Actually, I don't know if there's a certain thing you should do in order to get some notices here. I'd be remiss if I didn't let Professor Hype.
Here we go.
Thing. So we have a little bit.
Listen, guys,
I'm gonna purposely put myself on mute.
Listen, I'm gonna keep it short. I'm gonna keep it sweet. I done blew all my energy yesterday watching our Cleveland Browns eke out a 2-point victory, I should say, over the dumb birds of Baltimore. If you're a Baltimore Ravens fan, you're
your energy being negative.
I was a negative Nancy for the majority of that game, and I will own that because I don't think I was alone in Northeast Ohio for the first half of that game. But then something happened. Magic happened. And then I was thinking to myself, what other magic happens when you're thinking about sports? Oh, I know. It's Sports on Tap, baby. We're bringing you live coverage of a regional finals game featuring two teams that we've covered all year. Now, guys, I know what you're thinking. Oh, football, old hat. No, sir. No, sir. I was given a text earlier this week, I should say, by our own Robert Richard Troutman. That's right. His middle name is Richard, RRT Productions. Get it through your skull. Call him up. He says to us, he goes, guys, guess what I just got? And I said, a raging case of herpes? He said, no, not anymore. got that. He said, no, I got the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League regular season schedule. And I was so excited that I jumped off my bed and I said, Rob, what are we going to do? Do we know what games we're going to play? Wow. He goes, no, I got to talk with you guys to figure out what games we're going to cover, what games we're going to live stream. And the only place that you're going to be able to see those live stream games is here on our YouTube page. So you know what you got to do. You got to hit the subscribe button. You got to smash that notifications bell so you know when we're coming live to bring you the Hockey Night Northeast Ohio, because that starts up soon. Josh, how soon? Soon. Soon enough to where there's a logo being made for it. That's how soon it is. The hockey season is right around the corner. Football season coming to an end. Guys, there's nothing better right now. The only thing I could say is go Browns, SOT rocks. I don't like Houston. Night-night.
And please go visit your doctor.
Yeah.
Also,
and to your point, John, Roland, guys, Dr. Hoops is going to be back in 1 month. That's right. I'll be covering basketball for the second straight year, here on Sports on Tap. And you're going to see it. All the updates, everything you want. It'll be live on Sports on Tap. That's right. Dr. Hoops will be back the second straight year covering basketball games from wherever I am going to be. You're going to see it right here on Sports on Tap.
And he might wear that football helmet.
So you're telling me, Noah, that the Doctor of Hoops is going to be in session coming soon?
That's right, Sean.
That's insane. I forgot totally about that. Now, if you're not following us, I don't know what excuse you can give me anymore. We got it covered. Hockey, football, basketball. What more do you need? What more do you need?
Well, don't say that. I know what a lot of people will say.
Cream.
Penicillin. It's your friend, and deal with it.
Oh, boy.
Oh,
all right. Well, we've successfully gone through a show.
That was something.
Kind of at the end there. But we did get through it without Josh getting muted by himself, so that worked out pretty well.
I actually did it, but I played it cool. First word was muted, but I played it cool. You guys didn't even notice.
Correct. You know what? Points for admitting it, and for that, we still recognize that it did not happen.
And here's to us finishing possibly. It's right now 9 o'clock.
So let's roll
here, fellas.
Let's roll the credits then. Make sure you stick around and listen to our tremendous sponsors. Again, you're watching us on YouTube at Sports on Tap. Follow us on Twitter at SOT Podcast. Our website, Facebook, Sports on Tap. On Threads at SOT_podcast. And our website, of course, sportsontappodcast.com. Any sort of comments, questions, or concerns about medical conditions, apparently, send them to
your doctor.
Send them to sportsontappodcast@gmail.com. Attention, Sean Duffy. And he'll be able to handle all those for you.
And remember to get your pets neutered.
In Spain.
Sorry.
Hey, real quick.
I just thought it fit in there. I don't know.
Real quick, on a more serious note, I want to thank everyone. We hit the plateau.
Yeah.
Not the plateau. We climbed the small mountain. 1,000 YouTube subscribers. Nowhere but up from here. Let's keep it going. Thank you. Spread the word.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody, for subscribing. And hopefully after this, you continue to do so. And maybe we'll pick up. For Rob Troutman, Josh Jeffy, Professor Hype, and Dr. Hoops, my name is Ed Dick. We will see you on the other.
Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
With the auto insurance market constantly changing, call a professional that will put your needs first. Ray Felton State Farm is a team of licensed professionals that will assess your risk, explain coverage in detail, and assure you understand what would happen if you ever found yourself in a claim situation. You can visit rayfelton.com or call their office at 234-284-2996 for a free quote on your home, auto, renters, and life insurance needs.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
Hand-and-built leather goods. Leather goods built for life. Made by hand in the USA, all goods are made with veg-tanned leather. Some of the best quality around and made by a U.S. veteran. Check out their website, www.handbuiltleather.com. GV Art and Design is a creative boutique specializing in original artwork, design, and apparel. With 4 locations in Lakewood, Avon, Willoughby, and Kent, you can visit their store and check out their collections including Cleveland sports teams, Ohio colleges, and much more. Use the code ONTAP10 for 10% off your order. GV Art and Design, original and one of a kind.